Alrighty, yo, what's up? My name's Patrouski, and recently you might have heard me complaining or trying to critique randoms PvP in PokeMMO. You see, I've really enjoyed randoms PvP for the last 15 seasons or so, and I think I finally reached a breaking point where I really didn't have fun this season, and I still had to grind it for the Iron Man, and I still did it, and I still achieved things, but randoms PvP is such an amazing format, and I love it so much, and I love what it could be. There's so much potential there. But there are also so many glaring problems. But I am just a shiny hunter that plays randoms PvP occasionally. So I'm not the person to ask on this, okay? To give exact critiques. I have some things in mind, like banning Wobbuffet, banning Shedinja, banning certain Pokemon, and then maybe and giving more offensive sets to discourage stall. You know, there's a lot of things. There's small things I can submit. But let's read through what an expert thinks. What Disco Shiba and what Spidget threw together over on the forums. I'm mostly just going to be reading through this, and I'll be inputting some of my own little thoughts here and there where I can. So this is a full in-depth write-up on reforming randoms PvP, and I super agree. It's exactly what it needs, is a bit of a reform. So let's go through. Hello everyone. Hereafter, there's actually some extra context. Hereafter is the request we are sending to Rach to push for a randoms update. I'm reaching out to her specifically because she appears to be the developer in charge of randoms and previously expressed her will to update the tier. These requests contain a detailed list of suggestions, ideas, and issues. I love that he put in this instead of just complaining and crying and salt emoji, about randoms. He's saying, hey, here's a problem. Also, here's the solution in a well worded manner. These could classify as suggestions, therefore posted in the suggestion box. I wish to open a discussion on the content of this request, and I'm therefore posting it here in competitive value. This is really important. He wants feedback. He doesn't want everybody to just agree with him. He wants discussion, feedback. He wants to find what is the best solutions and best options for the game. The specific topics for which we adamantly wish players to voice their own opinions on will be marked with a yellow star. Great way to organize things. But feel free to address anything related to randoms. And if this should be considered a suggestion instead, please let me know if you're a moderator. Cheers, Disco Shiba and Spidget. Reforms requested, blah, blah, blah. Preamble. Dear Rage, dear developers, we hope this message finds you well, as a lot of time and effort was put into it. Understandably, you have a lot on your plate and received numerous requests. We believe that randoms PvP is a facet of the game that receives enough playtime to be prioritized for an update. I super agree. Randoms is an extremely played format, the second most popular format in PokeMMO by far, and I think it's one of the better ways for new players to get into PvP, whether it teaches, some off things or not, simply because you don't need an actual PvP team to play it, right? So within the past 2 days in June, there's been 14,000 randoms games played and 23,000 OU, right? So the two most popular formats, randoms and OU, definitely deserve some attention and some love. Let's continue reading. All right. You have previously stated that referring to randoms was high on your to-do list. With this message, we are eager to offer our contribution. Hereafter, you will find a list of highlighted issues and recommendations that myself and several other top randoms players have worked on. All of us have consistently played thousands of randoms games throughout the years and earned crowns and maintained a high win rate. We believe that we have the necessary experience and knowledge to provide constructive feedback on the current state of randoms and encourage you to use it when the time for an update comes. In addition to randoms players, many members of the PvP community and of the community as a whole share the desire for the tier to be reformed. An update not only benefits the current player base, which is quite large, as one can notice from the PvP statistics, but also the players who do not play randoms due to the current design. This is very, very true. I'm currently a member of VOW and Tor's PvP team, but am also the only avid randoms players who plays for leaderboards. My teammates enjoy randoms, but not on PokeMMO. They would play if an update were to come. I hear this all the time. With this being said, we are pleased to share this randoms reform request. Okay, let's continuing on. Table of contents. First thing first, Pokemon. And this is one of the things that I always bring up. Removing certain Pokemon. Several Pokemon are a liability due to their underwhelming characteristics and or design. A player should roll them in a game is essentially starting off with a battle as a 5v6. This is so unbelievably true. Number one, Unknown. The capacity of Unknown to only learn one move and a weak move makes it underwhelming. I'm going to leave it at that. I think Unknown is... It gets level 100, but this is pretty much 100. I agree. Remove Unknown. Ditto. The same reasoning applies to Ditto. However, we would like to keep Ditto in the tier under the condition that hidden abilities are added. So you could have what's the instant transform, the imposter Ditto, 100%. Plant Coat Wormadam, the grass and bug type of Wormadam. Wormadam in its regular form is arguably the worst Pokemon in randoms, and it's been somewhat buffed in the past, but its win rates unfortunately remained the same due to its overall weak characteristics. We recommend that it be removed from the tier. However, we are of the opinion that Plant Coat Wormadam may remain in the tier under the condition that it is that its level is at least increased to 84 after running a series of calculations. We consider that it may become balanced in randoms if its level was something somewhere to 84 and 87. Shedinja. Man, I hate Shedinja. Shedinja in randoms is just so... It adds extra you don't want to add extra RNG to things like randoms or PvP in general in Pokemon. Shedinja makes it so players have to play, like, you can't... If what your opponent can do if they have Shedinja is just hide the fact they have Shedinja until the final like 2 or 3 Pokemon, and then there's a chance your opponent just doesn't have a move slot to answer it now because they didn't play around the entire fight knowing that you had a Shedinja. If there was team preview, which we shouldn't add in randoms, it's not fun. One of the biggest skills of randoms is playing around hidden information. Shedinja is more balanced in normal games because of like stealth rocks and things like that, but those are harder to build around and harder to manage in randoms PvP. Let's go ahead and see what they say. That's my thoughts and my opinions. Although it's balanced to other tiers, we do not support its presence in randoms. Defeating Shedinja relies on either being in possession of hazards or defined moves in terms of typing. Inversely, Shedinja's use becomes void. This is super true into a player. Shedinja's coin flip. It's either broken and impossible to answer or just super terrible in a 5v6. To us, Shedinja is uncompetitive in randoms. I super agree. Because teams and moves are randomized, we do not believe that it is fair to include a Pokemon for which the strengths and weaknesses is determined nearly exclusively by RNG. Okay, I swear I didn't pre-read this. I super agree with this. Dugtrio. We will not reiterate the long discussion that players have held on the forums regarding Dugtrio. Yes, Dugtrio, it is deemed as uncompetitive in regular tiers. We fail to comprehend why it has not been considered as such in randoms. If anything, Dugtrio is especially uncompetitive in randoms due to the absence of a team preview. Yup, 100%. Any Pokemon with electric typing would be heavily penalized should the opponents do Dugtrio on a Vault Switch. Yup. I've seen Dugtrio, like, on average, clear, like, 2 Pokemon as revenge kills. It's just so good in randoms. There's one Pokemon I would add to this list that isn't here. You've probably heard me say a million times. I would add Wobbuffet. I think Wobbuffet is equally uncompetitive and has been banned in PokeMMO PvP in the past to Ubers because of that. In constructed play, it's fine. You can play around there's Shadow Tag. So Wobbuffet has Shadow Tag, which locks you into place, similar to Arena Trap Dugtrio, and then it will either go for an Encore to lock you into your move, or a counter, or a Magic Coat, or Mirror Coat, or whatever. Those are the 3 moves that make Wobbuffet what it is. It's the only moves it really learns. And it's very, very tanky, right? So Wobbuffet can almost always, especially in randoms, take 1 or 2 free kills by locking in the person to their move, or locking them into like a setup move, like a Swords Dance, if you try to counter it. The fun part of Wobbuffet is the prediction game, right? If they go for the Encore, you just go for like an attack move and hopefully 2-shot them, outspeed them. That will actually punish them, right? But a lot of times in randoms, your Pokemon aren't doing enough damage to even 2-shot Wobbuffet. That's the big problem. Without team preview, it's harder to plan around. There's a lot of problems there. I would also ban Wobbuffet for very similar reasons. Buffing certain Pokemon. We believe that our people need to be a bit more love in randoms. We therefore ask that these Pokemon increase the levels of Pokemon. Rotom base form needs to be, has been buffed in the past, but remains too weak. We think that giving it a few extra levels would solidify its value in the tier. I don't have much of an opinion on this, is what I would say. Rotom's a hard Pokemon to balance, because I feel like it's been pretty strong in randoms in the past, but just because of its typing is so good, I almost don't know if I agree with this. But I'm no PvP expert. I feel like Rotom base form is still quite good. But I could be wrong. I'm more likely to be wrong than the PvP experts. Grass Lumber Dimple and Grass type. I'm just also sharing the casual player's perspective, or the casual randoms player's perspective. So have that in mind. Grass Cloak Wormadam. We talked about that previously. Yep. Adding certain Pokemon. We believe that adding certain Pokemon to randoms would be refreshing for the player base and enhance the tier's quality 1000%. You could even like have certain randoms metagames where not all Pokemon are allowed, and it's like certain sections, kind of like certain Pokedexes, similar to how they do in like VGC. We would not only be keen to seeing existing Pokemon add to the tier, but also Pokemon that are currently not in the tier, not available in other tiers. This is cool, i.e. certain legendaries. That's a cool way to balance. Like you have like a low, like a level 60 Regirock or whatever would probably be fine in randoms. Regarding the latter, we know it may be a possibility since some of these mons exist in the Battle Factory, despite not being available to players. Latios and Latios, Magic Bounce, Alakazam. To be fair, these examples are pretty extreme. I feel like these would be a little too broken for randoms, but I could be wrong. We therefore encourage you to add the following Pokemon randoms. Gen 5, yep, 100%. Legendaries, they talked about that. Refer to mons like, I'm surprised to see Latios. I feel like those would be busted in randoms. Regarding the latter, we refer to Pokemon like Darkrai, Skyform, Shaman, Mewtwo, Rayquaza, other King of the Hill. Okay, maybe they just want to up the power level of randoms in general, because adding all of these would obviously also be insane. I don't know if I agree with this. I feel like this would sway things too much of, oh, if you get a legendary on the team, it'd be too busted. I don't think I agree with this. I'm gonna be so honest. I don't think I want to see legendaries in at least these level of legendaries. Maybe like the Reggie trios, but I would not want these personally in randoms. Which is okay. It's here for discussion. Adding certain mechanics. Similarly to what was said in the previous sections, we believe that adding certain elements of the game would bring a sense. We therefore recommend the following randoms. Hidden abilities, 100% agree with this. Would love to see hidden abilities. Maybe at low levels. The problem is even like a level 60 Garchomp in randoms PvP is still really, really good. Like you can only go so low level before it's like, it's still really good. Certain Pokemon are just really powerful, you know? You could guarantee one legendary per team, but I don't know if I'd want that. That totally changes the way. If that's the argument, sure, I wouldn't want that personally, but if someone wanted that, I wouldn't fault them for it. That's so it makes sense. I was thinking about that a second ago. Yeah. Magic Balance. Okay, let's see. Hidden abilities. Yep. Magic Balance, Alakazam. Example 1 with new set. Multi-scale Dragonite with Substitute and Roost. Example 2, new interaction. Porygon, Tracing Dragonite's multi-scale. Example 3, new potential. Infiltrator, Spirit Tomb to enable tricking Pokemon behind a substitute. I would love more behind substitute interactions. Another one of those things in randoms PvP where dealing with substitutes can be really, really difficult with certain speed tiers. I don't know. Speaking of speed tiers, I don't know if they'll get to it, but I would adore seeing more speed tier variation in randoms where, like, you can, for example, a person on a team can't see 2 Pokemon over 200 speed. Like, you could only, I would love to see more distribution of, like, okay, your team is guaranteed to at least get 1 Pokemon over 200 speed and like 1 Pokemon under 120, and then like you could have like I think every randoms team should at least, even if it's like a love disc, needs at least 1 Pokemon over 200 speed, because sometimes someone's team is just so much faster and just fucking omega donks you. Okay, so speed tiers, I wonder if that's talked about. I've noticed a really bad speed distribution recently. New items. Yeah, there's no assault vest or assault gear in randoms. Throat spray is a really cool one. Throat spray, Yanmega. I love this. I love the idea of this. Absolutely. And let's go on to chapter 2, which is sets. All right, we are back after a catch event to continue talking about the randoms post from Shiba. Let's just jump into it. Sets. The beauty of randoms lies within the creative sets that the Pokemon may have. 100% agree. On one hand, in the possibility for players to use Pokemon which would commonly not be strong. Yup. Be viable in other tiers. On the other hand, the Corolla rare, I don't even know this word honestly, is the corolla of the above is the process that enables Pokemon to cycle through a diversity of sets. The combination of aforementioned aspects is what makes the tier randoms so special and fun. In randoms, every matchup will be different. However, we believe that numerous sets are detrimental to the game and undermine our enjoyment when playing randoms. These sets are usually those that disregard the characteristics of a Pokemon while severely affecting their viability. 1000%. I don't mind. This is a great. I don't mind like physical Swords Dance Ludicolo. That can work. That's totally fine. What I do mind is Stall Tanky Absol. We saw like a recent Absol with like Wish, Protect, Will-O-Wisp, and then like Psycho Headbutt or Psycho Cut. No stab move, like dog shit set. Like it was Stall. It was a terrible, unusable Absol, right? That kind of stuff is like, what are we doing here? Okay, let's see if he talks about it. Okay. Example 1, fun creative set, Belly Drum Hypno. Detrimental set, Screens Electabuzz. I think even Screens Electabuzz is like teetering, but I do, it's not the worst example, but I agree it's not. Yeah, Belly Drum Hypno. Okay. The Wish plus Protect problem. There are too many Pokemon that may roll Wish plus Protect 1000%. Despite how suboptimal and incoherent it is for them as set, we believe that Wish plus Protect should be reserved for Pokemon that may viably fulfill a supportive / cleric role. Indeed, some Pokemon... Okay, I swear I haven't pre-read this. They literally bring up my example. Okay. Or I brought up their example. Rather, they wrote this first. Okay. Also, undermine the offensive capabilities. Therefore, we urge you to remove Wish Protect from the following Pokemon. Absol, 1000% agree with. Raichu, 1000%. I think I agree with all this. Raichu, Minun Plusle, Jolteon, Delayed, Girafarig, Kangaskhan, Salamence. I think I agree with all of this. Why did I misclick? God damn it. I think I literally just agree with all of this. Super, super good points. 1000% agree. I have to scroll back up, but we do it live, boys. Fuck it. Okay. In addition, we encourage you to lower the frequency for certain Pokemon to roll Wish plus Protect due to, I think, just disincentivizing stall is ideal. Stall type things. I was talking about like Kangaskhan and Illumise. Moreover, we asked you to determine the two other moves that accompany Wish. Yes, thank you. Wish plus like Protect plus Toxic plus wait, do they actually bring up my one of yeah? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Shiba. I literally had this problem and I was like, what the fuck is this? Incoherent Wish set. Absol with Wish, Protect, Night Slash, Will-O-Wisp. Terrible set. Thank you. Example 2, Incoherent Offensive set. Wish, Protect, Thunderbolt, HP Ice. Yes. Yeah, they don't... Thank you. 100% agree with this. The screens problem. Yes. The same considerations apply to several Pokemon that may roll a set with Reflect/Screens, which is worsened if the Pokemon is not equipped with Light Clay. Therefore, we encourage you to remove... Oh, I see the Eviolite screens with... That makes more sense for Electabuzz as well. Yeah. We encourage you to remove screens from the following Pokemon. Raichu, Electabuzz, but instead... Yep, sure, that makes a lot... I totally agree with that now. Electivire, Jolteon, Pachirisu, especially if you only learn Light Screen and not Reflect. Yep. Porygon 2... I don't mind... I don't know if I agree with all these. I don't mind, like, a Pachirisu. I actually don't mind certain Mons slotting in, like, Light Screen. I think it's fine to have certain Mons that slot in one of these moves as sort of, like, an extra defensive measure you can throw off. Like, Venusaur is a good example. I don't mind stuff like that, honestly, to, like, cover its weaknesses. I wouldn't mind a fast Pokemon like Pachirisu being, like, Thunderbolt. Maybe like, Discharge, HP Ice, Super Fang, Light Screen. I think that's fine. It's a little wonky, but I think it's fine. I think it's fine as, like, an extra utility move. Similar to, like, Superior running, like, Glare or something like that. Like, an offensive Mon that runs a utility move to catch some advantage as well. Porygon 2, especially because it can only learn Reflect and not Light Screen. It's a slower Mon. I think it's fine. I think Pachirisu or Jolt. I would argue the faster Mons can have, like, one slotted in. You don't need Light Clay with, like, Light Screen or Reflect. Obviously, it's nice, but, like, I don't think you can need those on certain Mons. Magneton, which holds Eviolite. Yeah, Magneton with screens is awkward. I would prefer Eviolite. Yeah. Mamoswine, yes. Mamoswine, you want to be off. It's frail. You want it to be offensive. I agree with this. Mamoswine, you want to, I think, not fast enough to, like, set Mamoswine, which should be, like, pure offensive, or have, like, rocks or whatever, right? Probably all Pokemon who set up Reflect the Screen. I'm unsure on this. I'm just neutral on that. Sets that generally do not allow the characteristics of a Pokemon. In random, certain Pokemon are conditionally viable as their potential significantly depends on the sets that are allocated to them. These Pokemon usually possess remarkable strength in certain stats while being significantly weak in others. An issue arises when such Pokemon roll sets that contradict their natural strengths while being insufficient to compensate for their weaknesses. 1000% like the Absol Wish set. Consequentially, their value is considerably undermined to a point where they become a liability for a player. The problem is further enhanced by other factors such as a lack of offensive moves, typing diversity, or the assignment of a suboptimal item. People may wonder why reform is needed for certain Pokemon despite them having reasonable win rates. We can only stress the fact that the win rates are not de facto a good 100%, especially in randoms when, like, the rest of the team matters so much. This is because the possibility for a Pokemon to, quote-unquote, win a game, or at least contribute to a win, largely depends on the set that it rolls. For instance, it wouldn't be surprising for a Shell Smash Gorebyss to have a win rate of 60%, while Choice Scarf is 45%. This is a good, different sets for different Mons and different win rates. We don't see those information. Therefore, we urge you to review sets that may be deemed as dubious. This is the most Spidget word. Dubious in the light above, while removing/updating them in a manner that is in line with the characteristics of the given Pokemon. Okay, here's some examples. Leech Seed Cacturn. Thank you. I literally complained about this set to Spidget himself. And I think he's talked about it in the past as well. Cacturn's whole thing is that it is a hyper offensive Pokemon, mixed attacker, but with weak defenses and it's slow, right? It's a good, like, trick room Pokemon, right? Why are we seeing Leech Seed Cacturn? It's horribly useless and bad and stupid. So Swords Dance Sucker Punch Cacturn makes sense. Cacturn has high offensive stats in both special attack and physical attack, but it's defensively frail and slow. A set that includes... Oh, they even mentioned it! Is coherent. Yep, 100%. However, Cacturn with Leech Seed, Substitute, Data Drain, and Sucker Punch is hardly viable. 1000% agree. 1000% agree with this. Blossom with no setup and no utility. Yup, Blossom is a not very well statted Pokemon. It needs Quiver Dance or Growth or Sunny Day or things like that to get value. Toxic Leech Seed, yup. Yeah, they're gonna, yeah. To thrive, Blossom either needs setup. Also, Quiverden's Blossom is one of those mons that can be powerful, but it's not broken by any means. It can be pretty easily answered. Toxic Leech Seed. However, Blossoming liability does not roll such sets. For instance, a Blossom with Giga Drain, HP Ice, Synthesis, and Sleep Powder can hardly be an asset for a team. I think that's even like fine. Like I think this set is like mostly fine. Is it amazing? Not quite, but the Synthesis is weird. I'd remove this for like Toxic. I like the Sleep, but then you have Toxic and Sleep Powder. I like the Sleep Powder. Maybe like Sunny Day to set for like Chlorophyll. I like Sleep Powder. Apparently is just powerful, so I don't hate this set. But it's not amazing. Hardly damage on the speed. This is super true though. I will say like Sleep. So I like to use this set a lot to like bring in Blossom to answer a Pokemon, force a switch, and then go for the free Sleep Powder is still really nice. Choice Specs Bastiodon. I actually might be the one person who thinks this set is so funny, but it's so bad. But like, it's so funny. This set almost transcends. Like, it's so funny that is it worth keeping for the lack of balance? Not really, but almost. Okay, almost. Choice Specs Bastiodon. Bastion has extremely high defense stats, but is a very weak offensive stat in Pokemon. Sets on Bastion that provide utility to the player are in line with like Stealth Rock, Toxic, Roar, Iron Head. However, Choice Specs does not add sufficient damage to Bastion's moves for it to become offensively valuable. Its defensive stats are undermined despite them being his strength, while the Pokemon remains offensively weak. I'm okay with leaning into certain Pokemon's weaknesses, but making it like really well statted and really like... But it has to be like the good example is special attacking Ludicolo versus physical. Like if we go check, I don't have Ludicolo in my Iron Man's Pokedex to be fair, but it's obviously meant to be like a special attack. And let's go Ludicolo base stats. I'm gonna Google it really quick. It's obviously meant to be special, but its physical attack isn't so bad that it's unviable. So Ludicolo's base special attack is 90, right? Its base physical is 70. Is it lower so you would normally not run physical in PvP? Yes, but it's not like unusable, right? Versus like Bastiodon's special attack is like 35. Putting a specs on that is not going to make it a threat, right? Okay. The above mentioned conditions of Pokemon that are problematic because they enhance Pokemon's weakness, enhance the weakness without sufficiently enhancing their positive traits. Yup. Allocating resources into a Pokemon's weakness at the expense of its strength is not always an issue, but in several instances is highlighted. Here we go. For example, Belly Drum Hypno Set ignores the Pokemon's strong physical ability and acts its role as a special attacker, and instead considerably enhances its weakest stat, physical attack. Nonetheless, unlike the example we mentioned, a Belly Drum set on Hypno sufficiently enhances its weak attack to make it viable. Yes, I super agree. Super agree with that. In addition, blah blah blah, we recommend that we recommend that these be removed. Ledion, yes, thank you. Ledion with reflect screens, substitute baton pass, get that out of here. Smeargle, yup, it's just not fun. Choice Band with Sucker Punch when it's equipped with a Choice Band. I love Sudowoodo. It's such a fun Pokemon, and I would love to see it. I super agree with this. When it is equipped with a Choice Band. Yeah, I think this is fair. I really like Sudowoodo. I want to see Choice Band Sudowoodo most of the time, but Sucker Punch is awkward for sure. But it's like arguably fine. I wouldn't hate Sucker Punch Sudowoodo Choice Band. I wouldn't, but I get the, yeah. Safeguards, coverage, and balance. At the time being, there are a few safeguards in place which seek balance in terms of composition capabilities. For instance, no type may appear more than twice on a team. This is where I want to see speed stuff discussed. I don't know if they do, but I would love to see speed tier distribution discussed. No identical dual types can appear on a team, and no trapping Pokemon such as Dugtrio or Pursuit can be rolled as a lead. That's cool. I didn't know that. Nonetheless, we share the opinion that the current safeguards are insufficient. I vehemently agree with this, which consequentially leads to unfair and unbalanced situations. Indeed, it's unfortunate, frequent for players to lose games because they rolled a team that just can't handle. Yup, it's really, really bad right now. We agree that some matchups may be unfavorable, which is something that inevitably comes, but no team should be entirely incapacitated by a singular Pokemon. 1000%. I've noticed this more than ever recently. We also believe that sets should be coherent in abstracto. In other words, a certain set may be valuable in concrete settings, screens Jolteon, but lack purpose and viability when isolated from any context. Gotcha. Because randoms, does not account for team building, we should avoid attributing sets to which they need to be like, yeah, they basically are saying like we don't want sets that need to be built around to be good, right? It should be like we want Pokemon to be sufficient on their own. We agree that current safeguards, like we see a lot of, okay, that's a good example. We see a lot of things like you'll see like a chlorophyll Pokemon, and if you just had Sunny Day to set up for it, it would be amazing. But that Pokemon won't have Sunny Day. You'll need a Sunny Day Pokemon to make it good. But then if you don't have that, it's dog shit. So it's like that happens a lot. Okay. Type coverage. We agree the current safeguards in place with regarding to typing. However, we suggest the following type-related aspects to be changed for further safeguards. Offensive type coverages. We are keen on avoiding situations in which none of the Pokemon of a team can effectively/super effectively damage a specific type. Or rather, where most moves are not very effective, greater offensive... Yeah, just basically spreading type around more. Should Shedinja remain in randoms, the player opposing... Yeah, this should not be... Shedinja should be gone, for sure, in my opinion. Defensive type coverage. We are keen on avoiding situations in which 5 or 6 Pokemon on a team are weak to one type, even getting hit for neutral. But it's tough that there's just not enough... I feel like there's just not enough typings, like, or there's not enough Mons on a team. It can be really tough. A team comp... Yes, this happens to me all the times. 2 grass types, 1 bug type, 1 ice, 2 steel. Now you're entirely weak to fire. I see this all the time. Or it will be like, okay, a good example is a team compromised of like 2 grass types, 1 bug type, 1 ice type, 1 steel, and then like the final type takes like neutral damage from fire. But it's also like a frail, fast Pokemon. What's a good example of this? Maybe like Ludicolo, or like Ludicolo is kind of tankier. What's a fast, frail Pokemon that takes neutral damage from fire? Do off the top of my head, Aerodactyl maybe? Is that? I don't know if that, I'm not sure. But like Aerodactyl, you would still like 2-shot, right? Or like, yeah, Hitmonlee, you could still... Zangoose is a good example. Zangoose, if you switch in Zangoose, it's still gonna get like 2-shot by most Fire Blasts or Flamethrowers or whatever. So even if it's like 5 weak to and 1 neutral, if you have to switch it in, you're getting fucked still. And then like maybe you have to sacrifice them on to bring in the Zangoose safely. Then they just counter switch you. Now your sacrifice goes to waste, and that like it's really unfortunate. Physical and special distribution. There are currently no safeguards in place to guarantee a fair distribution of power. Special and physical mons. Yup, this can be a problem both on a defensive and offensive spectrum. So basically just splitting up. You shouldn't have a team of like 5 physical attackers or like 5 special. It should be... I think you should maximum have like 4 physical or 4 special. You know, like it's gotta be like a maximum. You gotta have some variation. It's gonna be a serious issue when rolling 6 special attackers against a Chansey. Exactly. We urge you to prevent the attribution to a team of 6 Pokemon, or I would love to see Psyshock distribution increase. I really like Psyshock as a move on special attacking Pokemon. I think it's a perfect place to shine in randoms. For those who don't know, Psyshock is a move that uses your special attack stat, but it hits the opponent's defensive stat. I have taken down many Chanseys with Psyshock. It's very, very important. For instance, it should be also for play to roll. Yep. Okay. Yeah, it should not be. I agree. It shouldn't be possible. Ideally, like 4 should be the limit. A fair distribution of other, but it's hard with like tanks and stuff. You get into like messy, whatever. A fair distribution of other characteristics, avoiding extremes. Please bring up speed tiers. We believe that in general, safeguards should be in place to prevent a player from receiving teams that are marked by excessive redundancy. Moves. Yep. Teams with 5. Yep. Too many stealth rocks. I think 2 stealth rock setters should be the max on a team for sure. Items. It should not be possible for a player to roll a team with 5 to 1 to have it. Yup. I've seen a lot of like 3 to 5 choice item teams. We don't need to require a minimum, but advocate for a maximum. I love this. In other words, we wish to keep the tier as randomized as possible, which require minimal intervention from the developers, thus setting a minimum standard for each team with limit randoms. I super agree, but you want a maximum. However, we believe that the maximum number of X or Y elements should be featured in a team in order for the tier to be functional. Yep. The specific aspects that should fall under such limitations would be determined, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Include hazard. Yes. Include hazard removal in teams that do not have hazards. Hazards are one of the most important things in randoms PvP that has to be discussed. I don't think every team needs a hazard setter, and I don't think every team needs a hazard removal, but like they're saying, every team that doesn't have a hazard setter probably should have some sort of removal. Doesn't have to be default. It could be default or rapid spin. Maybe it's rapid spin and your opponent has a ghost type switch and you force them in. Maybe like that's fine. If you have to play around a ghost rapid spin thing, that could be an interesting sub game. That's an interesting skill based thing, right? But at least give them the chance, right? The disadvantage of playing into hazards in the absence of hazard removal. I would also argue, this is kind of extreme, I think it could be argued that toxic spikes should just be removed from the game, or removed from randoms, obviously. Spikes and Stealth Rock are very good. I think toxic spikes, if you don't have a grounded poison type, can just win the game in itself. I think toxic spikes are actually like insane. They obviously have counterplay, but the counterplay is no. I'm sorry. There is no counterplay to toxic spikes in randoms PvP for the most part. The only counterplay is switching correctly. You can't. I would argue toxic spikes. You have to. It's random. You have to have a grounded poison type or a bunch of levitate mons or flying type mons to not be affected. There's way less play around, in my opinion, with toxic spikes to take over a game more than rocks or spikes, in my opinion. Toxic spikes are just coin flip, where like if your opponent has a grounded poison type, you waste 2 turns and it's really bad for the user, or you don't have a grounded poison type and you just get fucked. So like toxic spikes, in my opinion, are like the representation of increased RNG, and just they coin flip the game based on team roles instead of actual like skill. Like I think stealth rocks and spikes can be played around a lot better. If your opponent's just setting up 3 layers of spikes, switch something in, set up, and like pressure them, right? Okay. You should also make a videos video. I'm sure you have a lot more insight to add. The disadvantage of playing into hazards in the absence of hazard removal and hazards themselves is egregious. Yes, it creates a significant unbalance between both players. It's like almost impossible. It's almost the person who sets up rocks and the player can't remove them like almost never loses. This, especially early on, depending on what time it happens in the game. This is further amplified by the confidential aspect of randoms, which enables players to force out the opponent on many occasions. In regular tiers, hazard removal is you're always gonna be able to have a rapid spin. It's like on your team building skills to have defog, or what's it called. Therefore, we encourage you to include hazard removal in teams that do not possess hazards. I like that. This is a perfect middle ground. We recommend that hazards be subject to certain ponderation. We also suggest that mons categorize them in terms of this. Okay. This way, a team that has hazards will increase the overall tier of the team, and a team without hazards would see its overall tier decreased. This way, the AI would be able to detect the imbalance. Okay. Maybe give the person without hazard settings the more powerful Pokemon, like higher level. I could see that. I like that. We want randoms, but randoms to be balanced. That's really it. I think all of these changes still are in the spirit of randoms, but a lot more balanced. Trapping Pokemon as leads. Currently, trapping mons may not be rolled as lead Pokemon, such as trapping mons, Instant Pursuit, Shadow Tag, Arena Trap. However, Magnet Pool mons are exempt from this safeguard and may be rolled as a lead. We do not understand this exemption. Therefore, we ask you, okay, really easy suggestion. Tiers within the tier. This is cool, but there's a whole lot of, actually, no, let me read this first. Certain Pokemon with specific sets are stronger than others. Pokemon X with set Y may be stronger than Pokemon A with set Y, or than Pokemon X. But this time with set Z, okay. To avoid imbalances in the allocation of a team, we should like the developers to implement a non-public tiering system within randoms itself in order for the AI to fairly distribute Pokemon in the team. Yes. Just have power levels of the Pokemon. Absolutely. The purpose would be to avoid situations in which a team has 5 or 6 overpowered combinations of sets of Pokemon and vice versa. 1000%. For instance, Shell Smash Gorbis should be categorized in S+ tier, while Choice Scarf Gorbis would be in C tier. More specifically, tiering should be processed according to the win rate of the given Pokemon. I've always assumed this is the case, but I don't know if it is. To reiterate, I would like it to be the case for sure. Gorbis with Shell Smash would fall in the S+ tier due to having the win rate of 58%, whereas Gorbis with Choice Scarf would be C tier due to win rate 45%. In fine, the allocation of a team by the AI should be processed in part according to the win rates of combinations of Pokemon in sets. Very wordy. It's very well worded, but it's honestly, it's definitely weighing on me a bit, so apologies. In other words, the combined win rate of each combination of Pokemon in set, the teammate should hover around 50%. Okay, I like that. Just aiming for the Pokemon species to have around 50% rate. Should not be excessively low or high, of course. This is one of my recent games, and it perfectly summarizes the issue with the lack of safeguards. Yeah, so look at this. This is like an arguably unwinnable game. Dog shit Wormadam, dog shit Love Disc can be used to some extent. You can spread burns with Scald and then top whatever. It's a good Love Disc has some utility, but it's a weaker mon. Love Disc is a weaker mon that can be used for purposes, but you have dog shit mon into dog shit mon into weak mon into I think Rotom's actually I think Rotom's good, but they Weak Mon, and then Life Orb Gorbis. At least you have Rain Dance. This is a medium tier Mon. Scarf Benetric. is like medium tier. This is like a C tier and F tier team. This is a terribly, terribly weak team. Rolling the is this into Blissey? Oh my god. Okay. Rolling the holy crap. Rolling the 3 worst Pokemon in the tier, rolling 6 special attackers into a Blissey. I love that this is his way to flex a terrible team that he got. And he's not wrong. Yeah. Lack of move typings, a choice scarf on a Pokemon that's already fast and therefore does not need extra speed. The issue is that Baby Rotom gets leveled down by the other. I agree. The problem is that all the Rotom forms are like really good in randoms. Like Rotom Wash is insane. Rotom Fan is like quite good. All the Rotom forms are just insane is the problem. And then Baby Rotom is like fine in my opinion. Obviously in my layman casual PvP opinion. Final considerations. General considerations that do not fall under the above mentioned categories. I gotta play my music. One sec. We are not asking for a complete reform. Yes, there's good systems in place. This reform request may be critical of certain aspects of randoms, but we enjoy the most of the current features offered by the tier. We are in favor of playing original sets in randoms that would otherwise be unavailable in other tiers. The same applies for Pokemon that are fun to use. The easy example I always is Swords Dance Ludicolo. I think is fun. We agree that with the matchmaking system, where losing a game of randoms is less impactful than loss of other tiers. But I like they call out the positives they agree with. That's really cute. But the tier to remain faithful to its essence, we believe that randomization should be the rule. However, some degree of intervention is required for healthy gameplay. The suggestions and problems underlined in this document are the intervention we'd like to see. Of course, as far as we know, anything that has not been mentioned should remain unchanged and therefore implicitly marked by our approval. Upcoming update involving PvP players. That randoms update is long overdue. The numerous players that have considered experience in randoms and are themselves okay, this is pretty like overly wordy at times. But I respect the seriousness and professionalism of it. The current meta includes a wide array of dubious sets. Spidget, you're in chat, Spidget. Did you make this word? I said that this is the most fucking Spidget word of all time. Dubious sets. Anyways, we encourage you to involve experienced randoms players and PvP players in the involve players in the absolutely. And more generally, the upcoming update of randoms. We are aware that this involvement should be limited in a way that does not affect the fairness of randoms. I didn't write any of this. Did you? I assume you had a lot of he credited you in it, Spidget. Did you like have a lot of discussion with him? I assume. Thank you, Bussin' Bruh, for the sub. Thus, our involvement would be limited to Pokemon and sets that may reasonably be deemed as dubious. Dubious is the word of the month. In other words, it is not necessary, nor for the developers of the randoms players, to go over all the sets. Most of them can remain untouched. I agree. We are only referring. I feel like it's crazy. Like we're only adjusting. All of these considerations. I would argue with all of these considerations in play. I bet you that we're changing like 10 to 20% of randoms. Like with it's the tier is mostly good. There's just a few things that need to be balanced. Hall of Fame. I don't know. I'm curious. Noting that players who finish a season on the leaderboard as rank 1, 2, and 3 in OU, UU, NU, and doubles, doubles. Therefore, winning a crown, have their in-game name displayed on the PokeMMO Forums Hall of Fame thread. Reaffirming that prestige, Expressing our lack of understanding as to why top leaderboards in the randoms tier don't have that. Easy change. We adamantly ask you to display on the Hall of Fame thread. Okay. Yeah, let randoms players be represented on the Hall of Fame. Absolutely. This is one of the final points. On the final note, open discussion on the forums. Mention within this document, which will be posted on the forums, any topics that are open to. I think all topics are open to be discussing, obviously, but like the ones they really want to see discussion on are the starred ones. Also, frowny face, by the way. The trio. Hello. Okay. The trio and Shedinja randoms, is that uncompetitive or not? I think they are personally. I agree with that. The specific adding of new items, Pokemon abilities, the specific Pokemon that should not have access to screens, the coverage safeguards, the randomized distribution of hazards, all of this is open for discussion. Naturally, we welcome and encourage players to voice their own opinion on other matters related to randoms, including either ones that may or not have been included. Lastly, regarding dubious sets, it'd be helpful if players could post screenshots. Yeah. All right. Acknowledgements. I want to thank Rach. Kind regards, Disco Shiba and Spidget. There we go. There it is, boys. I agree with 95% of this post. Is like the adding in of Wobbuffet is one thing. I think certain sets are fine. I think this is a great post. 90% or so. I think this is a great post that really professionally answers and addresses every single problem that I have in randoms right now, every single possible concern. How do you even thank Disco Shiba and Spidget for writing this? Jeez Louise, it's so much work. This was obviously taken very, very seriously, and I respect that. You know, at the end of the day, is it just a game? Yeah, but people also spend thousands of hours playing just a game, right? It's okay to care about that. It's okay to be passionate about something. This is the perfect level of passion where they're using that passion to politely critique and put in actual solutions and like address things very pinpointedly and with examples, as opposed to like, oh, randoms is not balanced because of blah, 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 right? The one thing I would have loved to see is speed tiers talked. I think that's the one big point I didn't see. I would add into the safeguard section speed tiers. I think every single team should have a Pokemon above like 200 speed or maybe even like 180. Like every team should have at least one fast Pokemon. I've seen so many teams this season where my fastest Pokemon was like 156, and then all the other ones were like 120 and below, and then my opponents just swept me, and I couldn't do shit. So yeah, speed tiers I think need to be fixed. There's a lot of mons that like are low speed in randoms that also aren't tanky. Things like Cacturn we talked about earlier. Like these are mons that can't really answer things if you don't have other Pokemon to pressure out. A lot of times with Cacturn, you need to kill your opponent's fast Pokemon before you can use the Cacturn effectively, and that's like a planning for the future and skill based, like playing around that match, right? But if all of your mons are slow as fuck, you can't even do that. You can't even do the skill based thing. So I think that covers everything. Really amazing post once again. I heard that Rach actually did reply to these. Let me see if I can find those. Apparently Rach did reply to these and wants to work on randoms within the past. This is a guesstimation from Rage. Do not take this as a promise. I think they said they wanted to work on this within the next year or so. Randoms is high on their priority list, which is amazing to see. I don't know if I have the screenshots up, unfortunately, so I'm gonna go ahead and call it there. What do you guys think? How do you guys feel about this? What wasn't mentioned? What do you like agree with? What do you disagree with? Go have discussion in the forum post itself as well. That's where everything will be like logged, so it's nice to like have all of that there, right? So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Like it if you did. Go give Disco Shiba's post some love. Goodness gracious. He's also on YouTube. Go follow Disco Shiba on YouTube. Like this video if you enjoyed it. Dislike if not. Go give some credit over to Disco Shiba. This will be linked first thing in the description. Subscribe to my channel for daily videos every single day regarding PokeMMO. Follow my Twitch for streams Monday through Thursday at 12 p.m. ET. Discord's down below. And if you want to support the stream and go above and beyond this month, Factor is the best way to do so. Link will also be in the description. Thanks for watching, and good luck in your randoms PvP games, and I hope we see some reform for it over the next 6 to 12 months. Yo, Patrouski here, and I wanted to thank you personally for watching the video until the very end. I really, really appreciate that. And if your name is on this list, thank you to the moon and back, because you allow me to even make these videos by supporting the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.